less than $4,000. I think that's it. Less than $4,000 per company, and built it because he understood how to generate revenue. That's the guy that I want to follow. That's the guy that I say, okay, I'm going to bet on Tony building this project, doing what we're doing. You're all on our link right now. So I'm going to get myself out of the way. Tony, I really appreciate you. I know you're super busy. I think you're in Puerto Rico right now. I'm in Dallas, Texas, but look, I've got a jacket on. I just took my dogs out, and it's freezing cold here. So I'm a little jealous. So, Tony, I'll turn it over to you. Thank you so much for doing the presentation tonight.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me, Danny. Appreciate it, brother. Can you hear me okay? Right on. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I just got back on the first home here in Puerto Rico. We did some skiing in Japan, and then spent some time in Vietnam. Then I was in Kansas. I got a place outside of Wichita, and we were there for a couple of days, and then back home. And I should be here, I think, until February, heading to Fort Lauderdale. We got some big things. Maybe I'll mention that here, but certainly want to welcome everybody onto our company overview this evening. I'm going to share just a brief slideshow, a little information about who we are, what we're doing as a community, and how you might be able to benefit financially by helping us grow our communities and helping our projects grow. So let me do a quick screen share. I'll pull up a PowerPoint here, and we're just coming out of beta. This is actually our decentralized video conferencing platform. So it's definitely exciting to see our community growing and our client base growing. We've got a few thousand clients, and I think over the next few weeks we're gonna start going through some hyper growth, which is exciting. And for those of you that are brand new, we deal in the blockchain space and what we'd call Web 3.0. And if you're not familiar with blockchain or Web 3, I'll give you, I guess, a kind of a simple rundown of where I feel like Web 3 is going and how we can position ourselves to benefit from this transition from Web 2.0, where we're at today, into Web 3.0, where I think inevitably we'll all be going tomorrow, and over the next few weeks, months, years, certainly there'll be a huge shift. And if you look at kind of the biggest shifts in society, I think you can look at advancements in human history as what I would call closing different gaps in society. And I think one of the first gaps that we closed is what I would call the knowledge gap. Back in like the 1400s, you had the Gutenberg press, the printing press, basically, that prior to that invention, if you didn't have, nobility or royalty in your blood, like, you didn't have books. And the printing press, I think, even the playing field. It allowed everyone on the planet to have access to knowledge. And because of that, human beings as a society, and they moved forward. Like, it drove us forward. I think if you go into the mid 1800s and you've got the combustion engine, I would say that closed the power gap. Prior to the engine, if you didn't have horses, mules, oxen, whatever, and you had land, there was not much development you could do without livestock. And so the combustion engine was a great equalizer. All of a sudden, you had more power than kings and queens of old that you could harness. And it again shot society forward in a big way. If we look at the internet, I think tonight's a good example. We're using the internet to close what I would call the distance gap. And the world is certainly a much smaller place because of the internet and that technology. We're doing meetings. I know we have, I'm in Puerto Rico. I know Danny's in Dallas. I know there's people in Australia that are on here, people in Asia, South America, Africa. It doesn't matter. Anywhere in the world you can be on here. It's a much smaller world. The internet closed that distance gap. And again, society has shot forward. The next gap, and what I think, blockchain is closing, is what I would call the trust gap. And what it does, instead of allowing us to just send information, which that's what the internet does. We can send information real time all over the planet. Blockchain allows us to send value real time all over the planet. Now, that could be money. If Danny said, hey, I've got a real estate project we're starting. If everyone here wants to send, $100,000 in, we'll start a company together and we'll build it all. And every one of us decide to do it. You can't send a wire. At least maybe if you're in Australia, you can send a wire right now. In Puerto Rico, my bank's closed. In Kansas, my banks are closed. Pretty much all over the United States, my banks are closed. And so there's no sending a wire right now. There's no getting an ACH approved at that amount and getting it out. Certainly, the bank's not going to initiate it until people are there in the office. And if it's a weekend, it's going to be even longer. Whereas with something like blockchain, if Danny said, hey, just send me Bitcoin or send me Ethereum, we could literally use a blockchain wallet and send $100,000 worth of Bitcoin within a minute, maybe 2 minutes max. And maybe it costs $1 in transaction fees to send that, which is far more efficient than waiting for the banks to open up, walking into the bank, going through everything, sending the wire, waiting days for the wire to get to Danny's bank account. It's just sending that value is much simpler on blockchain. You could take all of the clinical trials and put them on blockchain and create full transparency. And you could send that value throughout the world. I'm old enough to remember when cigarettes were good for you. They de-stressed you, they curbed your appetite, they didn't really have any bad side effects. And there were studies that showed that. But that was because anyone that got sick in that study, they just removed them from the study. And they didn't publish the study until they got rid of all the sick people. Whereas blockchain, you could see that study from day one and you could see all the results. It would be anonymous. You wouldn't see the people's names or anything, but you could see, study member 173 got lung cancer or whatever and has been smoking 2 packs a day for the last 18 years. It's like, maybe smoking for that long and that much is not really good for you. And so blockchain creates that trust and transparency. And if you look at the transition from Web 2 to Web 3, that's really what we're doing, is positioning ourselves in the middle of that transition. No different, I think, than positioning ourselves when we transitioned from kind of Web 1, where no one was really using the internet, into Web 2, where, you had Facebook pop up, obviously Amazon, PayPal, all those companies. And then when the iPhone hit, you started to really get those revolution into Web 2, and everybody was online. Everybody was utilizing the internet. The same thing, I believe, is going to happen into the Web 3 revolution. And the main difference is you go from centralized authority, where we're at today in Web 2, the big Web 2 companies, Uber, companies like Zoom, Facebook, Google, whatever, they all control our data. They have our data, our networks, our content. They certainly monetize our data. Zoom just got caught not long ago sharing everybody's data with their AI. And there was a ton of blowback, but who knows how much they'd shared before then? Who knows how much they'll be sharing after then? And at the end of the day, Mark Zuckerberg has probably been listening to me this whole time. And I think we as a society have kind of conceded to that fact. And it's like, well, that's just life. I started talking about a vacation to Japan, and all of a sudden I started getting, hotels and flights in Japan popping up on my Facebook feed and advertisements on my Instagram. And it's like, yeah, that's just, people go, oh, that's creepy, it's weird, but that's life. That's how Web 2.0 works. And what Web 3 does is it decentralizes that control. It says, instead of Mark Zuckerberg or instead of Zoom owning all of our data, controlling all of our data, monetizing all of our data, what if we as a community, the group of users, owned our own data? And what if we could monetize our own data? I felt like if as a society you could choose to own your data or not, I felt like all of us would choose to own it. If we could choose to get paid for our data or not get paid for our data, I felt like everybody would choose to get paid for our data. That's what's going to be happening and is starting to happen already with this Web3 revolution. And the World Economic Forum back in 2021 estimated that blockchain would disrupt up to $867 trillion in traditional markets. I've heard as recently as about 3 months ago, it's as high now as an estimate of 1.3 quadrillion. And my question, I think, as an entrepreneur is, how do we position ourselves to take advantage of that? And that's really what our ecosystem has allowed people to do. We allow people to participate in blockchain using what we call node software. And a node helps to run a network. Basically, it's computer software that runs networks. So you might have heard of like Bitcoin mining. They're actually, the official term would be a Bitcoin mining node. If you know what a cell phone tower is, each cell phone tower is considered a node. Like if it's a Verizon tower, it's a node on the Verizon network. It helps to run that network. And imagine if you owned land and Verizon called you and said, hey, we want to, they don't buy your entire land, your farm or whatever. They would lease a little piece of land from you and build a tower, and they would pay you every month as basically a thank you for allowing us to host our Verizon network on your farmland. And that's really what a software node does. But instead of needing a bunch of land, we can basically download software nodes to our laptop, or we can host those nodes in the cloud on Amazon servers or Google, or there's third-party hosting services that host node software. And companies will pay you, just like Verizon would pay you every month for borrowing your land. These projects will pay you for borrowing your computer power. Now, they pay us in what I'd call magic internet money. You know, there's not a lot of value to it. And the first time I saw this concept, a friend of mine reached out to me and he said, hey, there's this blockchain project called Gala Games. You need to buy nodes and they'll pay you. And I remember I was like, well, how much do they pay you? He goes, well, they give you these Gala tokens. And I said, well, how much is a Gala token worth? And my buddy was like, well, right now, nothing. And I just remember I was like, well, this sounds amazing. You know, like they borrow my computer and give me, you know, fake money. That doesn't sound that exciting for me. And he goes, well, Tony, he goes, the tokens aren't worth anything now. But he said, if people start playing these games, it could be worth quite a bit. And it's a long story, but I ended up, I bought some nodes, but they got refunded. And I was supposed to call my buddy back to just redo the transaction, and I forgot to call him. And this was 2018. And in 2021, my buddy starts posting about the Gala Games blockchain. He on it in like hashtag Gala Games. He's posting on his Facebook, his Instagram. And I'm like, I call him. And I was like, what's up with this project, with these nodes? And he goes, bro, he goes, there's millions of people playing these games. And I remember I was like, really? And he goes, yeah, I started selling these tokens because the nodes every day just print tokens. It's like rewards. They're just giving him tokens every single day for running the network. Just, hey, thanks for hosting the network. And I said, well, how much have you made? And he goes, well, I started selling the tokens over the last month and a half. And I said, well, how much have you sold? And at that time, it was a little over $40 million. And I was just like, huh? I was like, magic internet money? And then I remember I went onto this website called CoinMarketCap. And that day, that token, its daily trading volume was over $4 billion that day that was trading. And I mean, that was more liquid than like Apple stock that day. I was like, geez, that's a really liquid asset. And so I kind of missed the boat on that. And so that was just one of those things. I chalked it up as right place, right time. but I didn't call my buddy back. I didn't take that action that I needed to take. And it wasn't the first time I've missed an opportunity, and it certainly wouldn't be the last time. And I asked him, I said, if I called you back, how many tokens would I have? Because I was going to buy 20 nodes. And he goes, if you would have bought them back in 2018, he goes, he did the math, and he was like, if you sold all of your tokens today, this was back in 2021, he goes, you'd have a little over $10 million. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. And he's like, no, dude. He goes, he showed me his nodes, showed me how much each node would generate. And over time, I did the math, and I was like, yeah, that's about right. It would probably be a little more than that. And what's even crazier, if I had those nodes today, years later, after 2021, I would generate about 40 to 50,000 a month in income from those nodes and those tokens. And so again, I kind of chalk that up as a missed opportunity, and that just happens. That's life. And a little over a year, almost a year and a half ago, October of 2023, he called me. My buddy called me again, and he's like, hey, he goes, the team that created the Gala blockchain, they've got several other projects they want to bring to the world, and we want you to see them. And because of my history with these guys and seeing what they'd done in the past, two of my friends that I knew, I watched them on that project make each $4.3 billion. And so when my buddy Wright, who had made about $4.3 billion, called me and was like, hey, you should see this, I was like, where do I need to go? And so I went and took a look at it, and I got really excited. And I want to share some of that information with you because I ended up buying nodes, and I started getting rewards. And again, if you bought Bitcoin mining nodes and were running those, you would get Bitcoin. Ethereum mining nodes get Ethereum. We have our Win blockchain, you get Win nodes. Rev, we have a decentralized ride share like an Uber project. You get Rev tokens. Rally, which is this project, lives on the Rally blockchain. We call these meetings rallies. So if you're doing meetings, I'm actually earning cryptocurrency doing our meetings using this software. And so I get rewards for doing something that Zoom I was doing anyways and not getting any rewards. And so if you look at the blockchain projects, I'm not going to cover all of them. Here's a few of our larger projects. We have a banking blockchain called Switch, a health and wellness blockchain called Galvin, a decentralized mining blockchain called Element, a charitable blockchain called Give. I know last year we saved over 3,200 children from child sex trafficking due to the Give blockchain. We built 2 orphanages in Tanzania last year. I think we have 100 orphanages that are being built this year through the Give blockchain. So we've done a lot of good. There's full transparency. Imagine giving to a charity and being able to tell to the dollar where your money went, whether you helped to build a well in Africa, whether you helped to save a child from trafficking, whether you helped to put a pair of shoes on a child's feet that couldn't afford them. Maybe you built a bedroom in an orphanage for kids that were sleeping on the floor and now they're sleeping on a mattress. You can track pretty much to the penny through our blockchain where your money went and who it's helping. Grow is our decentralized agricultural blockchain. Imagine knowing what you're putting in your body, knowing what it put in its body, knowing whether there were pesticides or herbicides sprayed on the fruits and vegetables you're putting in your body. We have a decentralized ride share platform called Revo. Every single ride we do, it's cheaper than the same exact ride with Uber or Lyft, and the driver earns more than they would with Uber or Lyft. And on top of that, there's a cryptocurrency reward, a digital reward for every single ride. The rider gets rewards, the driver gets rewards. If you recruited riders and drivers, you get rewards as well. And then we've got our R-Link platform, which is what we're looking at now. This is a decentralized video conferencing platform, competing with Zoom, but instead of stealing your data and giving you no rewards, we let you keep all your data and we give you rewards for using it. You can right now become a customer of this platform. $10 a month is the starting package. It's cheaper than Zoom. And as we grow, we're going to add our free version. And so people can try it out. But to get started, if you say, well, this sounds really good, like I'd like to be a part of what you guys are doing, you can get started as a connector, which is free, or you can start as a node owner, which each project has software nodes that you can purchase and run that software, and you can earn digital rewards that in turn you can use to maybe pay for food on the Grow blockchain, or pay for your meeting software, or pay for a ride. Instead of using, your credit card to pay for an Uber, imagine using Revo tokens and taking a ride. And so what we tell people is there's never any guarantees. This is certainly high risk, but I always say there's high reward. Now, I guess if you sign up for free, there's no risk other than you're taking time to learn what we're doing. But if you bought a node and you ran it and you earned digital rewards, they could be worth nothing. They could never be worth anything. That's a possibility. But if people start using those rewards and you're using those rewards, then there's utility there. And if the rest of the world starts going, well, we want to get those rewards, then there's a marketplace for those rewards, and they could be worth quite a bit. Our last project, the market cap, hit a little over $40 billion. There were days where that business, the market cap was higher than Tesla's back in 2021. And it was crazy. I don't think it should have been that high, but that's irrelevant. The fact is it was that high. So I always tell people, do your own due diligence. I can never make any guarantees. No one can make any guarantees. But what we can tell you is we have real products, real services. You're actually on our R-Link platform right now. We have a legal team that helps to make sure our T's are crossed, our I's are dotted. Our lead advisor, Ken Cuccinelli, was the former Attorney General for the state of Virginia and the Deputy Secretary of Homeland Security for the United States of America. If somebody says, well, I do want to buy some nodes, whoever invited you onto this overview or whoever shared this recording with you, they can send you a link to sign up for free. You can click on the shop button. You can choose which projects you're interested in and buy some nodes. They're not cheap. The R-Link node, actually, this is a little older slide. The price goes up as more and more people buy the node. And we have millions of dollars of nodes being sold every month or so. And now I think the price is almost like $5,200 for one of these R-Link smart nodes. And again, they print out about 3,000 of these R-Link tokens, the Rally tokens, every day, which again, maybe they'll be worth something, maybe they won't. But it looks like there's a lot of customers that are interested in leaving Zoom, saving money, owning their own data, and getting rewarded for doing something that they're not getting rewarded for right now. Once you get your nodes, you can activate them. Our team can help you do that. You can put them on your own computer, or you could host them in the cloud. You can pay third parties to host them for you. That's kind of what I do because I'm not that tech savvy. Pay a few bucks a month and let somebody else do the work for me. And it just prints out those tokens. It's almost like you could get the chicken or the egg. Buying the tokens out of the market's like buying the eggs. Buying the node is like having the chicken, just laying the eggs every day. Once you become a node owner, you just run your nodes daily, and you can check out your digital rewards and see how they're growing. So what I tell people on our platform, something like R-Link, I like it better for presenting than Zoom. I have more bells and whistles. I can go into my projects. And if I said, somebody says, well, I want to learn more about R-Link. I want to see your website. Instead of typing a link in the chat, I can pull up a call to action button and go, hey, just click on the button that says R-Link Home, and it'll take you to our website. What's cool, if you're watching the recording, that link is hot right now. If you're watching this on a recording, click the R-Link Home button. It'll take you to the website. It's live. It doesn't matter whether you're watching it live or whether you're watching it on recording, the link works. If you say, well, what about this rideshare project? I want to hear about that. It's like, great. Click the button that says Revo. That's our rideshare project. It'll take you to the Revo rideshare website. You can learn more about that. If you say, well, I like the charity, click on the button that says Give. Again, if you're watching the video and you're not on the live meeting here, you can still click any of those buttons and it'll take you to those websites. And so I love the fact that we can present without having to, pretty much stop, share screen, throw in slideshows. It's just much easier for me, in my opinion, to have call to action buttons and to be able to share these buttons with anybody in my team, in my organization, and they can have the same tools that I have. Cheaper than Zoom, own your own data, get rewarded for using it. It's kind of a no-brainer. We're just coming out of beta right now. You can actually earn a lot of tokens for getting other people to sign up for the service. So again, it's easy to disrupt industries when you have advantages. There's really 3 ways you can disrupt industries, and I'll kind of wrap up with this. One is price. If you beat somebody really bad on price, you can disrupt an industry. 2 is convenience. Maybe you pay more, but you got better convenience. 3 is technology. Maybe your tech's a little better or a lot better. If you can beat the competitors in 2 out of the 3, you're usually going to be able to disrupt an industry. Imagine something like Netflix disrupting Blockbuster, right? Their convenience was much, much better. You didn't have to go look for movies or whatever. You just live streamed. The technology was much, much better, getting it right into your house instead of having to grab a tape. Now, price-wise, I've probably paid a lot more over the years for Netflix membership than I ever did going to Blockbuster. So maybe I paid more for the convenience and the better tech. Walmart, better price than the mom and pop stores, more convenient than the mom and pop stores. I don't think technology was really a factor. You walked in, you bought stuff, same as the mom and pop store. So they didn't really beat anybody on tech, but they certainly beat people on price and convenience. Smartphones, they beat industries on all 3. They were going to be long distance phone calls, things like that. All of a sudden became free, didn't cost you anything. The convenience of having a computer in your pocket was pretty nice. The technology obviously is amazing. These things are better than the supercomputers from the 1980s and 1990s. They have more computer power. So anything that beats the competitors on all 3, price, convenience, and tech, we know those companies. We know those technologies. We know Apple. We just do. And we know what the Apple iPhone did. We know Google and Android and what those phones have done. They beat every competitor on price, convenience, and technology. That's what we do in the blockchain. We can literally do the same thing. Technology-wise, would you rather have someone stealing your data, or would you rather have blockchain security so you own your data? I think technology is a no-brainer. I'd rather own my own data and get rewarded for using a platform versus not getting rewarded. Convenience, if you have your own data and you can monetize it, that's much more convenient than having your data stolen from you. Being able to do presentations and being able to share real-time call to action buttons is better than not being able to do that. And price, I remember on my enterprise account with Zoom, I had 3 rooms up to 1,000 people per meeting for one of my companies, $327 a month. I can do 5 rooms up to 3,000 people per meeting, $50 a month. So I can save almost $3,000 a year. So price, convenience, tech, we're beating them in all 3. Now, that's not saying I can't guarantee you we're going to beat Zoom. I can't guarantee you we're going to beat Uber, but I can tell you on paper, we price out better, we're more convenient, and we certainly smoke them on technology. And so how do we take advantage of this? What I would tell you is connect with whoever invited you on to tonight's webinar or whoever shared the recording with you and tell them, hey, I want to learn more. Hey, I want to get your link. It's free to sign up. Ask them for their link. Sign up for free and start going through the academy. It'll teach you about blockchain. It'll teach you about Web 3.0, what's Bitcoin, what's Ethereum. It'll teach you everything you'd want to know or need to know about cryptocurrency, about blockchain, and about our projects in particular. And if you take that step and you start to educate yourself I can promise you, if you're anything like me, you're going to get more and more excited about this transition from Web 2 to Web 3. And I think as the rest of society finds out that there's an alternative to having people spy on you and steal your data, and they have a choice now where they can control all their data and monetize their data, I don't know anybody in the world that wouldn't choose that. And we have the opportunity to be kind of at the forefront of spreading that good news. So I appreciate each and every one of you sharing your time with us. Connect with whoever invited you on to our webinar. Let them know you want to learn more. And for those of you that do take that step, I want to be one of the first to welcome you to the Connect family. Have a great night, everybody. God bless.